Well, just like you and me, it looks like our country's younger generation is getting that feeling it's time to stop voting for the same old establishment types who have way overstayed their welcome in Washington. According to a new Harvard Institute of Politics poll, about 75% of young voters in the 18 to 29 age group would rather sit on the couch at home instead of voting in this year's midterm elections. Seeing how Obama really benefited from the youth vote in 2008 and again in 2012, the lack of young voter turnout this year could really cause big problems for the Democrats. 32% of young voters who identify as Republicans say they plan to vote in November, compared to 22% who call themselves Democrats. So much for all that hopey-changey stuff. Young voters are starting to realize that the president and the Democrats aren't as cool as they thought they were. There's also the fact they can't get jobs to pay off those student loans. Here to talk about this is Paul Dietzel, a U.S. Congressional candidate from Louisiana. All right, Paul, how old are you?
28 years old.
28 years old, and you're a high-tech guy, right? What did you do before this?
Technology entrepreneur.
All right.
I started a software company.
All right, so you're like the poster boy for the young voter, young tech entrepreneur. Why run for Congress now?
Well, whenever you're an entrepreneur, you realize, especially in the industries that I've been in over the last decade or so, that the federal government really is way more involved than they should ever be, and I feel it every day. I deal with the pain of government regulation and taxation every single day. So that's why I'm running. I believe that the next generation has to step up. We have sent the same people to Washington for too long, and we see what we've gotten from that. We've got a government debt that has doubled since I was in college. We've got a government deficit that is way more than it should be, and I think the young people are sick of it.
Let me ask you, did you ever flirt with progressivism in college? Did you, I don't know, think a professor opened your eyes, or meet some girl into feminist poetry? Was this an awakening, or have you always been like this?
I've always been conservative. I started my first company whenever I was 16, so I've always had a strong grasp that I didn't think that the federal government needed to help me. Whenever I saw a problem, I figured out private sector solutions to solve those, and didn't think that the federal government needed to be involved.
Well, I mean, for I get it, a lot of young people in college get emotionally wrapped up in politics. It's about changing the world, or saving the world, or helping those less fortunate. But, here we are, 5 years into this administration. I hope this is a life lesson for the majority of people under the age of 30, that growing the government and raising taxes is not going to help anyone but the government.
Correct. The more that we give the government, the more that they're going to want. And we've seen that that doesn't work. It's time to start cutting back on the government, start cutting back on spending. We've got to put a cap on the budget. That's the only way we're going to have a sustainable future for the kids that are born today, for my generation, and for those people that actually want to make it to retirement one day.
Let me ask you, the establishment's been really upping the ante on protecting themselves. Are you finding any is there someone you're running against that maybe the establishment types would rather have than you? How is your relationship with the party nationally?
We have a really good relationship, and I don't know if that's necessarily, I think it's out of self-preservation. I think that the party and people are starting to realize that they have to get the youth involved, that they have to get the young generation, they have to get technology people and entertainment people involved. And so what you've seen, we've actually had more mainstream conservatives, we've had liberty-minded people and Tea Party people all come out and unite behind our campaign. So we're very excited about that.
Who currently occupies the seat you're running for? Is it a Republican or a Democrat?
It's a Republican, Congressman Bill Cassidy. He's actually running for the U.S. Senate now against Mary Landrieu.
Okay, so it's an open seat, and it looks like a pretty good year for Republicans in the Senate. So do you have a tough Democrat opponent?
Well, our current top Democrat opponent actually is somebody you might recognize. He's a former governor, Governor Edwards. And then the other candidates in the race are all politicians, bureaucrats. So really, if you look at the field, the people that are serious contenders are either government bureaucrats, politicians, lawyers, or it's the businessman, the young tech entrepreneur that's 28 years old that's really trying to step up and say, listen, it doesn't have to be this way.
All right, so
we can still save our country.
You got a real opportunity here. Let's talk about, just on a side note, because I was looking at your business. It's not just a, hey, let me make a few bucks thing. You've actually created an app that helps charities, right?
Correct. We've helped causes, nonprofits, and political campaigns all across the country, and even some around the world.
So what does the app do?
So Antidote is an anagram for the word donate, ANEDOT.com, and it gives any cause the ability to sign up in minutes and accept donations on Facebook, website, mobile phone, mobile swipe, mobile scan, any way you would ever want to be able to accept a donation. I saw the issue that it was a very inefficient process. It was very expensive, or it was very complicated, and so I wanted to make it more efficient and make it and level the playing field for any type of cause, whether it was political or nonprofit.
All right, so with your experience and your understanding and your view of limited government, you might be a voice to say, hey, we don't need this Obamacare exchange. Why can't health insurance in this company work like, I don't know, iTunes? Buy it where you are over the internet.
Right. I think it's a great point. I think that there shouldn't be any barriers between the states, and I think you're exactly right. You should be able to pick whichever company you want, and if there's a company that provides it online where you can just pull it in an iTunes style account where you select the different pieces that you want, I think that's definitely things that the private sector can solve.
See that, and that's why I don't get it. On one side, your generation is used to doing everything on a smartphone, right? You got apps for pretty much everything. You could buy you don't buy CDs anymore. Yet these were the same people that supported the sort of government evolution and takeover of healthcare. I just hope we can connect the two so people start to realize that, hey, you know, this iTunes thing or this Antidote thing or these things work, that when people can conveniently purchase what they want when they want to at a price they could afford in a free market environment, everybody wins.
Right. Well, it's like my friend over in Austin, actually. They had started a company called Outbox to try to disrupt the Postal Service, and the Postmaster General basically told them they didn't want their help and that their customers were, a handful of really large customers, and their business really wasn't about delivering the mail to individuals. Our government's gotten way out of control, and they think that their interests are just big special interests, and it's not the people that actually have elected them. And that's what's the problem with having bureaucrats and unelected people and all these different agencies and departments. I find a new one every day that I didn't even know about, wasting tons of our money.
Yeah, that's
a problem.
Yeah. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, Paul. All right, let's get to